Today we have an extraordinary privilege to be able to welcome a guest speaker, a very special guest speaker, one that obviously all of us know at some level. Governor Asa Hutchinson was sworn in as the 46th governor of the state of Arkansas in January of 2015. The governor is the chairman of the Southern Regional Education Board, chairman of the Southern States Energy Board, and vice chairman of the National Governors Association Homeland Security and Public Safety Committee. Before being elected governor, Asa Hutchinson served as the director of the Drug Enforcement Administration and as the first undersecretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Voters in Arkansas's 3rd District also elected him to Congress 3 times. He is a graduate of the University of Arkansas Law School, and at age 21 was appointed by President Ronald Reagan as the nation's youngest U.S. attorney. He and his wife, Susan, have been married 42 years. They have 4 children and 5 grandchildren. Before we introduce Governor Hutchinson, we want to extend our gratitude to the First Lady of Arkansas for being here today. Susan, we welcome you here to Northwest Arkansas, your home. And would y'all please welcome Susan today, who is sitting to my left and right there. Thank you, Susan. We're glad to have you today. And now, if you would, all of us that are a part of this great state, if you would you join me in giving an incredible welcome to the governor of the state of Arkansas, Governor Asa Hutchinson. We honor him today, and we thank God for him.
Thanks, Ronnie. Thank you. Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Floyd. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the welcome. It's great to be in Northwest Arkansas where people are liberated and they don't feel like they have to wear ties everywhere they go. And it's really great to be up here in an area that, one, is my home, but it's also an area that I believe produces more national leaders, entrepreneurs, successful people than so many other places in our country. Dr. Floyd and his national leadership position represents that. Dr. Floyd, we're proud of you. We pray for you. Thank you for your leadership, not just here, but also at the national level. And ladies and gentlemen, I look around here and I see so many that I practiced law with, I knew back in the 80s, have been friends, and I see so many that are new here. And for those who are new, I want you to know this is my home. That's important to understand. I'm actually the first governor in more than 50 years to be elected from Northwest Arkansas. We haven't had very many. And my wife Susan is here, and by the way, the First Lady has her mission to support children advocacy centers across the state of Arkansas. Those are children that have suffered abuse, that are in need of protective custody or in need of assistance. Children advocacy centers support them. Susan was on the board here in Benton County, but she's really taken that mission statewide and have an extraordinary impact. But Susan, our home is here. We've got a place in Rogers. I went to school in Gravette and Springdale. I've walked all of these hills. I practiced law on the square of Bentonville, and I got my first home loan, not at Arvest Bank, but it was actually at the old Bank of Bentonville. And I remember Ed Buck, and it was the day that you could actually, I said I wanted a loan to buy a house. He got in the car and drove me around the house, came back and wrote the loan. Minimal amount of paperwork. And then something happened in Congress. Anyway, that's another story. But I have many precious memories and roots here in Northwest Arkansas. And I've been blessed to go from the roots here to be elected governor, but it's important to recognize that I had sort of a tortured path to get where I am today. And many of you who've known me for a long time, you know, I've served 2 presidents. I was appointed by President Reagan as United States Attorney. I was asked by President Bush to leave Congress after I got elected Congress. I served in his administration as head of the DEA and Homeland Security, Undersecretary. And I came back and left those positions. I ran for governor in 2006 and lost. And in every rational computation, you know, the political career ended at that moment. But 8 years later, it was given an incredible opportunity to run for governor again. The young people of our party came to me and said, we got a great farm team, but they're not ready yet, and asked me to run for governor, and I did. And so to have the opportunity after many different aspects of life and ups and downs in life to be governor is a special blessing to me, and I'm very grateful to the people of Arkansas for giving me that opportunity. But it's important to remember that you've got a lot of ups and downs to get where you are. And I lost a number. I don't like reciting the number, but I lost a couple of political races along the way. And you do that, and I think it's perseverance. I think it is commitment to public service and a desire to make a difference that really gave me this opportunity and prepared me for it. And, you know, people ask me, well, you've been U.S. Attorney, you've been Congress and Homeland Security, head of the DA. What's been the most interesting job that you've had? Well, one, I've enjoyed all of those. Great opportunities of service. But both the toughest and the most rewarding I've ever had was being in Homeland Security after the 9/11 attack. It was creating the largest agency of government since the Pentagon was created, merging 22 different agencies, 180,000 employees, and then you're doing it in a threat environment. And it teaches you a lot of things and prepares you for challenges in the future. It prepares you to think outside of the box. It prepares you to anticipate challenges. Secretary Ridge, who I loved working with, Secretary Ridge, every day I'd come into work, this is a guy that's been governor of Pennsylvania and now has been close to the president as one of the lead agencies of government. He looks at me and says, Asa, being governor is the best job in America. Every day he told me that. And so we were going through a tough environment, and one day we had these threats to our international flights from Paris, Charles de Gaulle Airport, from London Heathrow, coming to the United States, very specific terrorist information related to those flights, and so we made a determination we had to cancel those flights. And so it was my job to call up the French ambassador and explain to him all his flights are canceled coming to the United States. So I called up the French ambassador and I said, Mr. Ambassador, I would just hate to tell you this, we got terrorist information, threat information, we need to cancel those flights coming out of Charles de Gaulle. And he goes, well, Mr. Secretary, we are a sovereign nation and the United States of America cannot tell us what to do. And I said, you're right, Mr. Ambassador, we don't intend to tell you what to do, but we will tell you that those flights, if they take off, cannot enter the airspace of the United States of America. He responded by saying, well, Mr. Secretary, we would be happy to cooperate with you. It was just an amazing experience in life to go through that environment, come back to Arkansas, and my wife Susan says, you're worn out, you need to come home, revived, refreshed, and then have another opportunity at public service. But being governor of Arkansas is the best job in America. Since I came into office, you all have followed it. Last year, we were able to have a $100 million income tax cut. We were able to put computer science at every high school in Arkansas and lead the nation in a comprehensive computer science program. We've been able to increase job skill education, improve efficiency in government, all kinds of things we've been able to do in the last year, and we've had some fun along the way. And today I'm talking to business people, people who are very successful in your environment. You should be up here talking about the lessons that we in government can learn from you. But I wanted to share some of the experiences that I have had over the last year, just some observations that I've had that I think apply to government, apply to business, apply to life. And I wanted to leave those thoughts with you today. First of all, one of the most rewarding observations that I would give you today is that Arkansas is unique. Arkansas is different than the Washington, D.C. environment. And what I realized very quickly, whether they're Democrats, Republicans, or independents, everybody wanted their governor to succeed. And it's not just a good wishes feeling. They really want to lean over. Now, they're not going to lean over and compromise their convictions or to do something that violates what they think needs to be done, but they want to give you every benefit of the doubt to be successful. And I tell you, Washington can learn something from us. It's not just about who comes out on top, but it's about, after the election is over with, what we can do together to make sure America comes out on top. And in Arkansas, they've had that since, and I respect that. It really puts a heavier burden on you and say you want to do more because everybody is pulling for you. Now, one of the things that I've done is my priority has been job creation. And so that has taken me to Europe, the Paris Air Show. I've been to the Steel Show in Germany. I've been to China and Japan. I've been to Cuba. And I was talking with Pastor Floyd about he went to Cuba as well. Well, when I was in Cuba, one, I learned a lot about the differences there and Chinese communism. And, you know, China, you can go there and you can talk about capitalism, you can talk about the growth of the economy and private sector investment, they get it all. But you go to Cuba and you're still getting the lectures from the 1950 revolution. And so it's a very different culture. They've got a long ways to go, but we tried to build some good relationships, and my staff knew that I like to play pickup basketball. And so they set up a game for me in Cuba. And I thought it would just be like we do here, so I grabbed my old gym shorts and a raggedy t-shirt, and I go to play my pickup basketball. And as I go in, I know this is not exactly what I had in mind because they're taking me into the Cuban National Sports Arena. And as I go in, I see the Cuban national team lined up in uniform on both ends of the court, with referees and with all the media over here. And I say, this is not what I had in mind, but it was too late to back out. And so we had a translator. We tried to communicate a little bit. You know, it was 5 Cubans in uniform against me and Mike Preston, the 2 gringos, and 3 Cubans on our team. So we bring the ball down first. They throw the ball to me. I turn toward the basket, and all of a sudden, 5 Cuban defenders backed up. I said, isn't it nice to be governor of Arkansas? I actually had to call a timeout and say, now let's play ball. This is how we do it. You can foul me. Great time, though, but also an opportunity to build bridges there. And so the people want the governor to succeed. They're not as deferential as they are in Cuba on playing basketball, but it's so rewarding to see that desire for the governor to be successful. Secondly, Arkansas has an incredible story to tell. And I've enjoyed telling it. And if your governor is not out there marketing the state of Arkansas, then you're really not doing everything you should be. And so that took me to the Paris Air Show, where I was able to talk about our aero defense industry in Arkansas, where we have $1.6 billion in exports. We have Lockheed Martin in South Arkansas. We have Raytheon. We have Dassault Falcon Jet in Little Rock that has about 2,000 employees. And I like to tell folks that anybody who buys a Falcon Jet anywhere in the world has to fly into Little Rock, Arkansas to pick it up. because that's where they do their final assembly. And of course, when I go to Germany to the steel show, I talk about soon Mississippi County, one county in Arkansas, will be the lead steel production county in all of the nation, far surpassing whether it's Ohio, Pittsburgh, Alabama. Mississippi County, with 2 major steel production facilities, will produce more steel than any other county in the nation. And then, of course, we talk about the great entrepreneurs in Northwest Arkansas, J.B. Hunt, Tyson's, Walmart, the international companies that have really planted the flag for Arkansas in terms of entrepreneurship. We talk about the fact that we have an incredible state park system that draws tourists here from all over the globe because it's well funded. We have an incredible environment. You realize agriculture is our #1 industry. Tourism is our #2 industry. That's amazing that people come here because they value what we have and the quality of life that we enjoy here in Arkansas. Arkansas has an amazing story to tell, and I love telling it. The third observation I'd give you is that one thing I've always understood from a philosophical standpoint, and that is the principle of a limited government. But I've actually seen it in action as to how limited our government is. We have challenges that we face in Arkansas. I'll just mention 2 of them. We have a foster care system in this state in which the state of Arkansas has a responsibility to go into a home in which there's been abuse or neglect, and we have to take those children into custody. We have to provide protection for them. We have to provide a new home for them. We have to provide a care for them. Then we have to hopefully get the home stabilized again so they can eventually return to it. If not, they stay in foster care. And I soon realized in Arkansas that we have more children in need of foster care than we have homes available to them. One example, in Fort Smith, children are being taken into foster care and there's no homes in that area, so they wind up taking them to Benton County because there's available home. But I saw on the map that one time they had to take the family down to Crossett. Now, if you know the state of Arkansas and how far Crossett is on Louisiana border from Fort Smith, and you're putting foster children down there because there's no place closer, we have a challenge in this state. But that's not something the state can solve alone. We need to have the participation of others, families, volunteers, churches, faith-based organizations, to make sure that our children have the resources that are needed. Money cannot solve that problem alone. And so I called together what I called the Hope Summit. It was a faith-based summit and we had over 500 church leaders, nonprofit leaders that came together and said, we're doing a lot, but how can we help more? And here in Northwest Arkansas, we have the call. We have so many that are engaged in mentoring and teaching parents to be foster parents and encouraging others and stepping alongside. And the courage of these parents is extraordinary. To take somebody in their home that might be an at-risk youth and say, we're going to be vulnerable, we're going to open it up, we're going to put ourselves at risk because it's the right thing to do and we can help somebody. My hat is off to them. And so we ask for not just simply a government solution, but we ask for a solution with those that are willing to help and stand alongside and say, we'll be a part of that solution. The other part of the challenge was in our prison system. We have people, thousands, tens of thousands, that are coming out of prison every year and re-entering society. Historically, we have given everybody coming out of prison 2 things. One, we give them a $100 bill or $100, and we give them a bus ticket, and that's it. Now, what's the chances after you've been in prison for 6 years that you come out and you actually have a chance to restart over and be productive? And so that's one of the reasons we have 40% or more of our folks coming out of prison wind up back in prison. Now, some of them you can't help. That's their path of life. But others come out and they actually want a second chance in life. They want to be productive. They want to be restored to their family. They want to be able to do something meaningful in life. And yet there is barriers there. And so we, for the first time, set up a reentry program. And we ask our faith-based community to stand alongside and help. We ask our employers to say, we're not going to automatically disqualify someone from employment just because they serve time in prison. Now, you might have to disqualify them because they don't fit and they're not qualified, or you might not want to put a former embezzler into a bank teller position. But there are positions that they can hold, and they should not be automatically disqualified because they have that felony on their record. And so the faith-based community and the private sector employers have stepped up and said, we can do more. We can help provide more than just a government solution. And so there's a limited role of government. We need many people, and the solutions that we have to involve the people in this room. The fourth observation I would leave you is that leadership makes a difference in your business. Leadership makes a difference in government as well. It's inspiring to me whenever I bring my cabinet leaders together and I say, if you're not looking at efficiencies, you're not getting the job done. If you're not looking at efficiencies and doing things better than we did it before, then you're not being a complete leader. And then to see them come back later and say, wow, I took a risk and I identified a sub-department that maybe could be folded in, eliminated, and they actually called in one of the leaders and said, we're going to eliminate your position. And the guy responded and said, man, I'd wonder when you'd figure out this position was not needed. And so they come and they respond to that leadership, and it makes a difference all the way down the line. And one of the illustrations of that is the computer coding initiative. And I probably talked too much about this, but it is so inspiring to me. We had a congressional app challenge in which we advertised that our students who are taking computer coding can develop a software application or a design for it, and they can compete to win. And I went down and helped judge it and announce the winner. And the winner was from Hamburg, Arkansas. Small community in South Arkansas. They have 40 students taking for the first time computer coding in their high school. And they developed an app, and most of the students that were competing went on this MIT website to utilize the MIT system for converting an idea into the application. They bypassed that and said, we're going to write our own computer language. And they did it from scratch. These are high school students. They're the future of our country. Why are they doing that? Because a teacher was inspired by a governor who said, this is important for the future of our state. And the teacher said, I'm going to do it, I'm going to learn it, and they got 40 students in it in Hamburg, Arkansas. And so that difference has caused Arkansas actually to move up, and a Washington, D.C. publication said it is the leading idea coming out of all the states, that it is mandated to be taught in every high school. We're retraining our teachers, we're reforming our economy, and it's making a difference every day. Leadership makes a difference. And I hope I am remembered as a governor who managed well, but managing well is not sufficient. I want to be a leader that will have innovative ideas that others take and implement. And you do that in your business. We have to do that in government. Leadership makes a difference. The fifth observation I would give you today is the importance of value-based decisions. And I started to illustrate it. It's a little difficult to illustrate sometimes, but everybody who's in a leadership position, whether it's business, the nonprofit area, or government, needs a framework for decision making. And that framework should be based upon your value system. For me, it's faith, but it's also my view of government. It's the view of the private sector. It's some very simple principles. I want to see the private sector grow at a faster rate of pace than the government grows. Fundamental simple principle, but it guides my decision making. I want to be able to, I'm pro-life. That guides my decision making. I believe in reducing the influence of drugs in our society because that impacts our children. And these are decision points that impact everything that I do as governor. And we need to make sure that we elect a next president that has a framework that they will make decisions on that we can count on. And so I'm not being political here. I'm just saying our country needs you to evaluate candidates based upon their value system and how they will lead our country. Because once you have a framework of decisions, I've learned something. It's easier to explain. It's easier to defend your decision because you're coming from a consistent framework. Now, the challenge of government is there are always gray areas, but you've got to start with that framework. And part of that is my sixth point, and it is a value. I've made the observation that it is very important for us as a state to have safety nets for the most vulnerable in our society, to make sure that we have a safety net for those in hunger, that we have a healthcare system that makes sure that those that have no resources can get medical care. We want to provide those safety nets there. But at the same time, all of our social programs should provide the safety net. Beyond that, they should be an incentive for people to go to work versus an incentive for people not to work. That to me is an important value. And so I look at the future of our state, and I looked at our program that we used to call it food stamps, and now it's the SNAP program. Very important, particularly during tough times in our society. But we waived a long time ago in Arkansas the requirement for those who are receiving SNAP benefits, food stamps, to work or to have any kind of work requirement. And so I did away with that waiver. And what that means is that if you're receiving this SNAP benefit and you are able-bodied, you're physically able, then you either have to be working, you have to be training for work, or if those opportunities are not there, then you have to be volunteering in a community organization. Is that unreasonable? And that's a big step forward for our state. And so then you combine that with those that are receiving Medicaid, that are able-bodied, that are able to work. There is dignity in work, and I want to make sure that they have the opportunity to be trained, to get a job, to provide for their family, to make a contribution. Work is to be valued in our society. It is to be, the dignity of work needs to be elevated. And so that's a value that I bring and I want to implement in our policies. I remember when I was over on the farm in Gravett, and my dad had these chicken houses. And I was just a young boy in upper grade school. And I'd always enjoyed the farm. But one day my dad came in and said, "Son, I need you to go out there and help the men clean out the chicken houses." So I went out there and worked till 2 a.m. in the morning cleaning out the chicken houses. And I went back in and crashed in bed that night with never having a greater feeling of doing something important, helping, and doing what I should be doing. And that's a work. My dad instilled that into me. And people want to work, and we need to understand the dignity that comes with that. And then seventh observation I would leave you is that we all know this, that I'm having a ball as governor. Susan and I are enjoying, and I'm enjoying watching her be First Lady and make a difference. But we all understand that life is a lot more than that. And so we enjoy our grandchildren. I just happened to mention that I've got a couple grandchildren up here in Northwest Arkansas that play ball. And I get to come up here and I get to watch them. I'm going to watch them Friday night, I think. Family's so important. And while I'm engaged with being governor, we still try to maintain our relationship strong. We try to make sure that our faith remains intact. We try to make sure that we have not just the immediate perspective of life, but an eternal perspective of life. And that helps you in the uncertain world of politics, in the uncertain world of business, through the ups and downs of it, to keep your perspective, to keep your feet on the ground, and to keep your head up, and to understand that there is a God in heaven that directs our path, sometimes in strange ways, but in ways that are always for our good if we trust in Him. That is important to us. I want to end with a couple observations. I mentioned I travel a little bit, and I'm doing that because it's hard work and it's important for Arkansas. One of my trips took me out to Silicon Valley in California, that strip of land between San Francisco and San Jose, where so many high-tech industries are located. And I'm there preaching Arkansas. I'm there talking about our computer science initiative. I'm talking about our high-tech companies. I'm talking about the opportunities that exist here. And as I went to company, of course, they're state-of-the-art facilities. I went to Facebook. And Facebook, they just built their newest facility. And it is world-class. You know, it's multi-stories, it's every amenity for the employees that they're trying to attract. If you go up to the roof, they have a full park on their roof with park benches, all wireless where you can work there, walking paths on the roof. And so they have chefs on every floor. But then as I went to the counter, though, I noticed that they had a counter that had unfinished and unvarnished plywood. And I said, "What'd you do, run out of money?" And they said, "You don't understand." And I said, "No, I don't. Explain it to me." And they said, by design, the architects, the leadership said that we're going to leave unfinished a number of items in the Facebook headquarters to remind all of the workers and all the leadership team that our mission, our job is not yet completed. I like symbolism. I like that imagery. And to me, that's reflective of our individual lives, that we're here, we take a breath, God is not finished with us, we've got a plan, we're not finished yet. And the same thing for our growth in the state of Arkansas, what we're leaving for the next generation. The opportunities are boundless. I've never been more excited about our state. And even though our nation even has greater challenges, I believe in America and I believe in the opportunities ahead. And I believe we're not yet finished yet. And I would encourage you during this election season to be engaged, to understand the values that candidates operate under, and then to take it upon yourself to make a difference this year. This is a serious time in our country. We need you to be engaged. We need you to make the right decisions. And we need you to help shape our future. Thank you for allowing me to be with you today. You're a great crowd. God bless you.